I want you to be excited a little bit. I'm 25 years old, and so are everyone, sitting here. So I want everyone to be pumped for the next 18 minutes while you guys listen to me. All right? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to introduce myself again. I am not a model, to start off with. I'm a girl who grew up in Delhi, and to be precise, Mayur Vihar. And I started my life as the person you're going to see on the screen right now. And it's very important everyone sees it. Oh, yeah, there it is. So that's me when I was 11 years old. And that's the girl who looks like any average kid growing in India with unibrows, dark circles, mummy daddy ne vaccine karne ke liye mana kiya hai. And coming from a middle class background, you always have two dreams. You either become a doctor or IAS officer banna hai. There is nothing like ladkiyon ke liye because physically we are trained not to be strong. So we only think that one day I will become strong in some government job that I can bash those guys who were looking at me when I was walking on the streets. Am I right or wrong? Right? So this was me when I started just dreaming of becoming somebody. And as you look, something that you might not be focusing is the color of my skin. That is brown. That's what an average Indian person looks like. But hey, what are we worshipping on television? You see all these Bollywood actresses, to name a few, like Katrina Kaif, Aishwarya Rai. They're all in Fair and Lovely ads, and all these beautiful ads that you see on TV, and all the girls walking on the street want to smell like them, look like them, right? Right or wrong? So when I was that girl, everyone was constantly telling me, I'm not beautiful. Main gori nahi thi. So I was like, oh my God, no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to be pretty. So I was like, what am I going to do? And my dad made sure that I had this crew-cut hair so that no boy in class would look at me. He would be like, "Beti sundar hai, agar sundar lagegi to padhai nahi karegi." So I was like, okay. So I looked miserable, so I was like, I have to be an A-lister student in order for every cute guy to come talk to me. So I was always scoring good marks, and every good guy would be like, help me with homework. I was like, sure. And I would go help him with homework, and I became the most popular kid in the class. Then after that, I was like, enough are the school days. I want to actually look pretty. So back in those days, I'm saying I'm 25 myself, so I went to a beauty parlor, and I got rid of my unibrows. I had proper eyebrows. And I come home, and my dad is he's a zoologist, a PhD. And he looks at me, and he gives me 3 slaps on my face. He is like, bola tha na, eyebrows nahi banwani hai. And I got him done. So I was like always beaten to, I was always beaten down to be who I wanted to be. I was like, okay. That pushed me into studying, to becoming a doctor. I sat for my dental exams. I was studying to be a dentist. But before that, there's something that I forgot. When I got my unibrows done to eyebrows, I started looking pretty. There was certain incidences that were happening in my life that I really want to talk about, that people do not know, and this is the first time I'm openly talking about it. I was molested as a kid, twice by my dad's friend's son while playing hide and seek. I tried to tell my parents that, Dad, Mom, I'm going through something really miserable, and we were playing hide and seek, and Uncle's son came and grabbed me from the back. I did not feel okay. So the only thing I heard my parents telling me was, shh, keep quiet. No one should know what happened to you. I was like, okay. All I wanted to do in life was to be heard. I wanted to go to a platform where people could hear me. They would not hear me because मैं तो सांवली हूँ, गोरी लड़की को गाली भी देती है तो अच्छी लगती है. Whenever a gori chipti girl is talking, and Fair and Lovely, we call them Fair and Lovely by the way in Delhi. Whenever she talks, she calls like, you asshole, people like it, But when a Saudi girl says, how are you looking at me? Shakal bhi achhi nahi hai, fir bhi bol rahi hai. So I was like, parents are not listening to me, bad things are happening to me, guys are not talking to me, what am I supposed to do? I was like, think about positive things in life. Then what I did, there was a huge article in Hindustan Times that said there's going to be a modeling competition that is going to be happening in India. And I was so interested, so pumped. I was like, finally, I might be there. It might change my life. I might be able to become someone to be able to talk, to be able to tell people it's not you who is suffering, but people like you think are perfectly organized in their life. Those are the most disorganized people in their lives. So I got into this competition where I was amongst 20 girls, and there was no chance of me winning. And funny enough, my dad was sitting there when I had invited him for my finale, and you know, my dad comes and tells me, "Beta, tum to nahi jeetne wali. बहुत सुंदर है बाकी लड़कियां, तुम्हारे तो दांत भी खराब है." You know, so I fixed my teeth after that. I had, you know, those crazy lateral incisors like a Dracula. So I was like, okay, Daddy. That time, I was like, even the people who love me so much are not believing in me. So sometimes in life, my friends, people who love you so much are also not going to believe in you. Because you yourself know the capacity of what you're capable of delivering. If I today tell you that I'm going to be the Prime Minister of India, many of you are going to be laughing at me. But only me, who has lived my journey, is going to change it. So what happened was, my dad was sitting right there, and there was a couple of competitions, and you know, long story short, I won. And I was on the stage, and there was my father, and my dad is wearing a safari. He is a guy from Uttar Pradesh. I called him on the stage, and I was like, "Dad, walk the dream with me." You know, I made it happen, and I want you to see how it feels when a person dreams with open eyes. It can make, you know, it can actually happen. So this is exactly what had happened to me. Now, thank you. Now I became a supermodel in India. I had to go to New York. I had a question that I was studying to be a dentist. And my dad was now thinking, if you're going to move to New York for good, you're going to have to give up on your dentistry. Things that people don't think about. When people think, I'm sure so many over here are thinking that modeling is a part-time career. Acting is a part-time hobby. It's not a hobby, my friends. Nothing in life is hobby. If you're driven enough to make your hobbies into something that you can capitalize on, nothing is a hobby. So wasn't modeling for me. Modeling always was a medium to be provocative. For a medium to me to be able to talk and tell people that things happen. Do not consider yourself as a survivor or a victim, which I'm going to head to. This is only the beginning. So I went to New York, stopped my dentistry, started modeling with a correction Ford models because I'd won. I was amongst the top 2 winners. I got a $200,000 contract. And there I was, starting career of my life, thinking how amazing would it be to be standing in New York City, walking from New York Fashion Week, from Marc Jacobs, Alexander Wang, people that you think about. And then, I got kicked out of the agency a year later. That's something that you guys don't know about. My waist size right now is 25 inches. I'm 6 feet tall. I was only an inch over what I'm supposed to be, and I got kicked out from the apartment I was living in. I could not call my dad because it was my huge ego that I'm not going to be a loser and call my dad and be like, "Dad, nahi ho raha hai, wapas bula lo." I went to the Queensboro Bridge because I used to live Upper East Side of New York City, Manhattan. I tried to commit suicide. From winning for Supermodel to being on the cover page of magazines, you probably think that those models are rich, where there's another side of fashion that you guys really need to focus on. I wasn't rich, you know. So I went to Queensboro Bridge and I wanted to jump off. And then I was like, if I jump, I'm not a swimmer, I'm not going to be surviving. I stopped myself, got hurt in my thigh, but it got stuck. I did not jump. A couple of days later, one of my friends that I had met in New York City as a cab driver, he was like, "I'm passing through your house, I want to come see your sister, how are you doing?" Because I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, I like talking to people. And he comes sees me, and and he's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, brother, I don't have any money to eat. I was surviving on $5 for 3 days. Also slept on the streets of New York, though I come from a very nice family, but it was my ego. So I was sleeping on the streets and was eating $5 popcorn for 3 days to come. That day I realized how much money is spent to walk from one station to the other. It is only $2.5 that is required for one metro ride in New York City. I couldn't afford it. I used to walk from one place to the other, which is about 12 kilometers in the metric system. And I used to get kicked out by agencies because I had so much acne on my face. So you have to think the world is so superficial for the superficial people as well, you know. So I got kicked out, and I'm telling this story to the cab driver, who's now my brother. Comes up to me, gives me $400. Doesn't know me, only has talked to me, knows that I'm a model. Gives me $400 for me to go and eat at the best restaurant in New York City. So, having told you this part of my story, I'm telling you that we think of fashion as an industry where people talk about how exciting their lives are, but it's full of depression that the society doesn't show on television. I ate. The next day I happened to go to Maryland, and I got signed with the biggest agency in the world and to be represented on the same board like Naomi Campbell. I was very, very excited. So the reason that I'm telling you my story is, when life throws stones at you, someone's going to help you and help you shelter from it. So you got to understand that no one in life makes it alone by themselves. If people say that I'm a self-made person, I'm sorry to say, I clearly disagree. Never has ever been, self-made person. It always has to be a collective effort. You have to always do it together. And people haven't just said it, that unity is strength. It really is. You can never make it alone. Moving ahead, started, big things in my life. I started being on the cover page of Vogue, Elle, la la la. I got so excited. I was like, life is just treating me so well. And now, I started dating someone in New York, which is so easy for you to imagine. Now, the reason that I'm talking about my personal life is because there are incidences that happened with me that has made me the person that I am today. I started dating an American Psycho, and he really was a psycho, like Christian Bale in American Psycho. And for some reason, girls in India are trained. So I'm talking about the Indian society now. So the kind of family that I come from, if a guy is behaving like a brat, everyone says, iski shaadi kara do, right? So you're programmed with like the girls are supposed to bring in happiness to someone's life. So this guy that I met in New York was crazy. If I were to tell you how crazy it was, he tried to burn me with a steam iron. He put it on my thigh. I ran away just because someone was calling me. Long story short, I ended up on May 9th in New York City Psychiatry Department. All that I know was, after being burned by a steam iron, the next day I did not want to be with the guy. And my family is in India. I stay alone. It's been so many years. When you're loving somebody, you accept them for their flaws also. But this was too big a flaw that I was not supposed to be focusing on. I was in New York City Psychiatry Department on May 9th, where I was put in with a card that was unidirectional. I could only go in without a watch, without my shoes, without my jacket, without a cell phone. Just people giving me a paper and a pen to write down 2 numbers that were striking in my head. People who were going to get me out of the psychiatry department. That day, it hit me that sometimes we should be a meter away from people who are negative. Sometimes as women, we think that if a guy is being mean to us, we're going to fill his life with joy, with this and with that. Here I was in that room with 17 people, where one guy looked at me and said, I want to drink her blood. I want to pour it on Allah. And then I walked in, then I was standing there, and there's another guy who comes, who's playing with a ring, drops a ring between my legs, and smells me as he gets up. There were 17 people in that room. I go to the bathroom to pee, and in psychiatry department, you're not supposed to lock it from inside. There come two guys who are trying to do bad things to me. I would call it trying to rape me. That day, I beat them up. I got out of that bathroom to the main dorm area where the mental people were sitting. It took me 8.5 hours to get out of that place. And significantly, if you guys are noticing, no one came and helped me. And that day I realized that the reason I had gotten in there was because I said to people multiple times that I'm depressed. And in America, if you say you're depressed, you mean it. So in life, whatever you say, you mean it. You better mean it. That's what the system told me and taught me. So there I was, shivering, crying. I did not even know if I could see my parents if I ever got out of that place. I was petrified. Imagine, can you imagine what might have been my plight? I was just sitting in a corner crying. And that day I realized crying is no solution. As women, we are trained to cry, and it is no solution. As females in India, you're always taught that you go out, your brothers are supposed to go out with you. Everyone, there's a training program that happens that people are taught that you yourself as a woman would not be able to do it. You always need a man to make it happen. That day, in that psychiatry department, I dismantled this way of thinking. I realized that it took me 8.5 hours of fighting to get out of that psychiatry department. There are so many other things I want to tell you, but these are major incidents that happened in my life. When I got out, I realized who your true friends are. You, everyone sitting there, might hang out with 10, 15 people, might like photos on Instagram. You do not have physical attachments to those people. You're still hanging out with them, clicking for hundreds and billions of pictures, but you don't realize no one's going to come help you and break the prison when you really, really need them. And that day, I realized my purpose in life. I realized that this girl who's brown colored skin is going to open up a company who's going to only represent brown skin on the international platform. I'm 25 years old. I opened my own company. And it's known as Ninja's Model Management. And Ninja signifies the girl who has been burned with a steam iron, the girl who got out of the mental psychiatry department, and the girl who is 25 years old, studied what a limited liability is, helped her lawyer make very strict contracts, and ran to the FBI and the tax department offices in New York City. So if you want to make it happen, you can always make it happen. And I made it happen. I cured the symptom of people not aspiring to be Aishwarya Rai in this country where we all look brown. You know, Savani Saloni, there's even a song, but people don't pay attention to it. So let's not have unrealistic goals in life of becoming a white person when you're born brown, and that's what my company represents. And I do not sign fair-skinned girls. I only sign brown girls so that I can make them bigger models than me, because your success as a human lies when you realize your purpose in life, when you realize that you've been born to produce and serve mankind, your own brothers. I want all my models to become supermodels. I'm 25, and the guy that I signed, I saw him play football at a club in Delhi. I signed him with the biggest agency in the world, IMG. We're the first company in the history of India to sign a male model with IMG. And this guy comes from a middle-class family who has always dreamt of becoming Ronaldo. And that's what I told IMG. Modeling today, my friend, is not about looking pretty. There might be so many of you who look better than me. It's about becoming a role model and serving the people who believed in you when you were nobodies. So that's what I say, and I want to tell everybody, please, please live a life with purpose. Serve your friends, serve your brothers, and serve your country. Because if you cannot be loyal to your mother, then I don't know who you can be loyal to. Thank you.